Painters use paint, canvas, brushes. Sculptors use clay, chisels, stone. Musicians use instruments. But what about actors? Hey, it's Tiff. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. And if not, this is your reminder. So, what are the actors' tools? Oftentimes, when I am teaching acting to young students, this question really stumps them. I think when we're talking about 2D or 3D art styles, this question seems a lot simpler to answer because the artist's tools in those cases are typically something tangible, something outside of themselves. So when I ask this question, a lot of times students will say like, oh, props, costumes. And while those are important elements for story building, we can still act without them. The art of acting can happen without props and costumes. So still, the question remains, what are the actor's tools? Well, your tools as an actor are your own body, voice, and mind. For each topic, we are going to break down how it's used, a warm-up suggestion, a general self-care suggestion, and also some exploration recommendations. So let's break them down one by one. Let us start with the body. How do we use our body as an instrument, as a tool, as an actor? Well, there's so much that gets communicated through our body language, right? At the end of the day, acting is more about behavior than any of the words you're saying, right? So it's really important to be connected to your body and in tune with your body. I think a lot of us are maybe a little distant from loving our body. I think that's something that we're conditioned to do from a young age. Maybe I think that's an accurate assessment. But being really comfortable with your body and having your body nice and warmed up is just going to help you so much, A, as an actor, and B, through carrying yourself through life, right? I, of course, always suggest warming up your body before you perform. You know, even something quick and simple, rolling your shoulders, rolling your neck, stretching, moving the joints, releasing tension, I think would be the number one thing of importance that I would say. Because if you're holding all that tension in your body, I think you're gonna have a much harder time being present in the moment and just allowing stuff to flow, allowing the creativity to flow through you, right? When you have time for a more involved warm-up, I would absolutely recommend things like yoga, qigong, just general stretching, alignment, right? It's not only about like getting your body physically ready, but also connecting your mind with your body, right? Centering yourself. Something as simple as just standing in an aligned actor neutral position and just breathing there for a little bit can be so effective for just zoop, let's recalibrate everything, you know? And taking care of your body just day to day is really important. I mean, we all know that, right? Hydration, nutrition, movement. But when you're consistent with that, it compounds and you're able to use your tool of your body more effectively, right? So some exploration suggestions that I have, and we can totally talk more in depth about this. In fact, we absolutely will. But think about concepts of like weight, time, and space, right? So just getting comfy with your body, carrying yourself with more weight versus more light. How does that make you feel? What does that convey, right? If you're moving very slowly versus moving very quickly, What about that? Or even the amount of space that you take up. Moving through the world like this is very different than moving through the world like this. Something else to think about would be like the center of gravity in your body, right? Where is your natural center of gravity? And then playing around with that, right? Walking with your chest leading is going to give a very different impression than walking maybe with like your forehead leading, right? So these are things to think about and explore. We have this great vessel, I keep saying the word vessel, but to be creative with, see how things feel, what they communicate, right? We're using our body for physical storytelling, character creation, and conveying different emotions and states of being. Without saying anything, we can glean so much from seeing what someone's body language is saying to us. Now let's talk about voice. When I'm teaching, this is typically the first one out of the actor's tools that the students guess, because I'll give the cue like, well, hey, how do we communicate, right? And vocalizing, speaking, is really like the main way we communicate as humans, right? Through language. And how do we deliver the language? La voce. So, voice obviously is important for literally delivering the words on the page, right? Delivering the text of whatever you're working on. But also we can play around again with character creation and conveying different emotions and states of being. Of course, one of the most important things is making sure that we are nice, loud, and clear. Because again, the whole point of storytelling is that we can hear the story and absorb the story as audience members. So projection and articulation are of utmost importance, and after that we can add on like, you know, accent and dialect work and character creation things, stuff like that. Warming up your voice is so important because it can get damaged pretty easily, relatively easily, and it all starts with the breath. Voice starts with the breath. So focusing on your respiration for a little bit, and then we can add in the phonation, right? The actual sound that we're making. Can start to think about resonation and how the sound is amplifying through our bodies. Everything's connected, body, voice, mind, you know? And then we can start thinking about, okay, let's articulate now, and then project it out. We'll talk more in depth, but that's just a quick rundown of like the process of, or my process at least, of preparing my voice. On the day-to-day, my biggest vocal health tip, honestly, would be hydration, as well as just not straining your voice. Being very aware. Once you have the awareness, you can start to recognize like, oh, am I speaking from my diaphragm or am I getting really throaty with it? Recognizing like, oh, maybe I don't need to scream, or, you know, or even if you're whispering, that can even be damaging if you're not doing it properly. And some fun exploration options for you. I mean, just getting comfortable and connected to your voice, just making sounds, I think is important. Playing with pitch, playing with pace. Also, something super fun, tongue twisters to practice your articulation. So yeah, that's our voice tool. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the power of our mind. How does our mind help us as actors? I mean, well, imagination, memorization, focus, emotion, listening, presence, intuition, and instinct. All of these things come together to help us deliver the art that we are here to deliver as actors. My warm-up suggestion is totally just meditation, breath work, visualization, getting really clear-headed, really focused. That's going to help you so much to do your work without distractions, without that little critical voice in the back of your head. Once you can drop into the moment, magic is gonna start to happen. If you are with a group, theater games are like the best mind warm up, in my opinion. I love a good theater game. I think some exploration suggestions, honestly, are just to get creative, right? Live your life, learn things, read, write, listen. Really listen to what's going on around you. Practice dropping into the moment, just being here and now. It's really powerful, actually. Again, not only in acting, but in your life. So, and that's the thing about the actor's tools, right? It's like the art of acting is about exploring being a human. And so when we are able to really connect with these tools, we can show up as a better version of ourselves just in everyday life, right? Being really aware of, okay, how am I using my body to communicate right now? How am I using my voice to communicate with others? How am I using my mind and my intellect to interact and navigate? This is cool stuff, in my opinion. This is cool stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. This was just a little rundown, a little overview. We're gonna go in depth with these topics. So stay tuned if this is of interest to you. I super duper appreciate you being here, connecting with me, listening to me, giving me your time and your energy. That's a really beautiful thing. I appreciate you. I'm sending you so much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you soon.